Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the latest Breath of Fresh Air Shorty with your host, Charles Taylor. So, it's been a little bit since I have done a Shorty, so it's good to be back on to talk to everybody and give my view on a topic, or maybe topics. We'll see how the Shorty goes. But, um, we have an interesting topic for you, and it's been a topic that has been in the news for a little bit. So, what I'm talking about is this apparent beef, if you want to call it that, between Milwaukee Bucks forward center Giannis Antetokounmpo. Hmm, did pretty good with that name. Actually, wrote off a little bit. I like that. But anyway, there's a few going on between Antetokounmpo and Houston Rockets guard James Harden. Now, again, feud, beef, maybe that's a little bit strong of a word for this, but basically what has happened is Antetokounmpo, who was one of the captains for this past All Star game in Chicago, had a chance to pick James Harden. He didn't. He ended up picking Boston Celtics guard Kemba Walker, and I guess he was on Inside the NBA, the show with on TNT with Ernie Johnson, Kenny the Jet Smith, Charles Barkley, and Shaquille O'Neal. And they were over there clowning a little bit, and the guys on the set asked Antetokounmpo, why didn't he pick James Harden? And I guess Antetokounmpo was a little bit tongue-in-cheek with his response, saying he wanted somebody who would pass the ball. Now, that comment in and of itself is a little misleading. James Harden does actually pass the ball. Doesn't seem like it sometimes, but he does actually pass the ball. He was double-digit assists in one of those years, going back, I think it was 2016 to 2017. He averaged 10, 11 assists a game. So Harden does pass the ball there. But of course, Harden got wind of these comments, and he was on an interview with ESPN's Rachel Nichols, and basically said Antetokounmpo has no skill. He's just tall and just dunks. That comment also is horribly misleading. That one is really bad. Antetokounmpo's comment about Harden not passing the ball, a little misleading. Harden's comment about Antetokounmpo having no skill, horribly misleading. Pretty much a stupid comment. But anyway, it's turned into a debate about which player would you rather have on your team. Now, for me personally, it's not even close. I'm taking Giannis. Not even a debate to me. Giannis is a more complete player. He's taller. He's more athletic. He's younger by about 4 or 5 years. Antetokounmpo is only 25 years old. Even though he's been in the league for 6 seasons, he is only 25 years old and is probably going to continue to get better. And on top of that, the man is just more complete as a player. Way better defender. We all know James Harden doesn't play any defense. Okay, he's improved a little bit, I guess, but he's still a liability defensively. So, in that regard, not even close who I'm taking. It's definitely going to be Giannis all day, every day. But back to the actual beef, if you want to call it that, quote unquote. Uh, Harden, I guess, I guess he's a little bit upset. And to be honest, it sounds like he's still salty. He didn't get the MVP award from last year. Antetokounmpo, of course, won the award, and he deserved the award. Not even close to me. He averaged, I think it was 27 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. And if I'm a little bit wrong on that, fact check me and let me know. But I think those were about the roundabout numbers. And not only was he the MVP, but he also had a pretty good case to win Defensive Player of the Year. Of course, that went to Utah Jazz center Rudy Gobert, but he could have easily won Defensive Player of the Year. He's just a more complete player. And as far as Harden goes, I mean, he's an offensive player. That's what he is. He's never been that good of a defender. He is all about offense. And even there, he gets a lot of calls. He gets the benefit of a lot of referees' whistles. From contact, he, quite frankly, commits on them on his own. Though he embellishes the contact. He pushes off a lot. He will step on people's feet, make them fall. I mean, he does a lot of crafty stuff to get going. But in terms of his comments, I think it's just more of the grand scheme of things. His comments really resonates with how the Houston Rockets have been for the past few years. This is the same team, of course, who has cried about officiating, especially when they ran into the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs. This is a team who has launched their own investigation into the officiating to help them feel better about losing Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals back in 2018. Never mind, the Rockets missed 27 straight three-pointers. But that's beside the point, I guess. Also, when it comes to Harden, if you want to make this comparison with Antetokounmpo, let's remember James Harden has had some times where he has literally disappeared, disappeared in the playoffs. Who can forget about that great performance against the San Antonio Spurs when they're down 3-2? Needed him to come through. And remember, the Spurs didn't even have Kawhi Leonard during that game, which, I mean, that ended up pretty much being the last few games Kawhi Leonard had played with the Spurs. But Harden was something stupid, 2 of 11, 2 of 12 from the field, just total disappearing act. And when they have needed James Harden, when the Rockets have needed James Harden to come through in the playoffs, in the crucial games, it has not happened more often than not. So he's disappeared for the Rockets when he's really needed them. And don't get me wrong, I mean, he won the MVP in 2018, 2017, 2018, and you can make a case he could have had at least one more. One of the years, I think it was 2015, when he was runner-up to Steph Curry, the Golden State Warriors point guard. You could have made a case Harden could have won the MVP there, but Curry won it basically because he was the best player on the best team that year. And a lot of people want to talk about Antetokounmpo, and for just a second here. Okay, so what I had to do there was just kind of pull up some stats that I had. A lot of people said Antetokounmpo disappeared during the playoffs last year in that series, the Eastern Conference Finals against the Toronto Raptors. I'm looking at his stats here, and let's start with the games Milwaukee lost. So remember, they started that series up 2-0, winning the first 2 games in Milwaukee. Then they lost the next 2 games in Toronto, came back to Milwaukee, got beat, and then ended up losing the series back in Toronto for Game 6. But let's look at Antetokounmpo's stats real quick. And I'm gonna give you the games the Milwaukee Bucks lost. So in Game 3, he had 12 points, but he had 23 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 blocks, and a steal. Game 4, 25 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks. Game 5. Okay, so those stats that I read was Game 4. Game 5, 24 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 block. And then in Game 6, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, 2 steals. So tell me, where exactly did Giannis disappear? All I kept hearing from all the pundits and all the experts and the analysts, or whatever you want to call them, or whatever they call themselves, was Giannis disappeared in those games. He didn't disappear. What happened was he wasn't scoring as much because Toronto came together with a great game plan led by Kawhi Leonard, who's one of the best defenders, if not the best defender in the league. And since he wasn't scoring a lot, everybody said he disappeared. Everybody is so in love with the glamour stat that is scoring, and that's why everybody loves Harden, because he can score. But Antetokounmpo did a whole bunch of other things to help his team come close to winning: rebounding, passing the ball, blocking shots, and doing the steals, getting some steals as well. So look, in other words, just because the player is not scoring does not mean he's not making an impact on the game. It does not mean he has disappeared. those stats I just read, and even if you watch the games, because I'm big on the eye test, if you watch the games, you see Giannis did not disappear. So overall, if you want to call this a beef, whatever. I don't think it's really a beef. I just think it's just a little bit of petty back talk. But if you're asking me what player I'm going to take, no doubt, absolutely 100% slam dunk. It's Giannis all day, every day. And Harden, the comments about him saying Giannis is not skilled, terrible, really, really bad. And just think he put that on national TV in an interview. Terrible. Well, that is what I'm breathing on for today. Y'all make sure y'all check out this shorty and other shorties on the Breath of Fresh Air YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button while you are there. Also, keep the likes coming on the Breath of Fresh Air Facebook page, and don't be afraid to leave comments. Good, bad, or indifferent, we will get back to you as soon as possible. Patrick should be back with me for the webcast coming up on Tuesday evening. And everybody, have a great week. We will talk later on in the week. Take care.